I mean, turnout is really what's going to swing this election.
Tom Lee, the managing partner and head of research at Fundstrat Global Advisors, reveals his 2024 US election prediction, as well as how this will affect you as a Bitcoin investor.
Last time you were on, you talked about the Trump trade being pretty strong. A lot of things turned back, reversed. DJT reversed. Bitcoin didn't move into the mid-70s, got in the low 70s. I don't know whether the banks and other Trump trades changed, and all the betting markets certainly moderated late last week, came back a little bit. Do you have a change in your opinion on the election now?
And that's true, because even in just the last week, actually 5-6 days ago, Trump's favorability to win was almost 67%, with Kamala around 33%. Today, things have changed, with Trump now only a 57% favorite and Kamala 42%. Again, these are the prediction markets. The official polls have things much, much closer.
Well, it does seem like over the last 4 or 5 days, the election really narrowed when you look at betting markets or the polls. And I know a lot of people don't necessarily trust polls, but I think the quality and the adjustments to the polls have made them more accurate. So I think it is really a toss-up, and it's going to be a very close election. And something our clients are preparing for, because we did a survey last week, 76% don't think we'll have a winner declared election night. And 43% roughly expect it 1 week after. So I think markets are kind of bracing for this period of uncertainty. I think that's why many of the trades have reversed.
And it should be noted that the number one thing that will cause volatility in a market is uncertainty, meaning if there's a clear either Kamala win or a clear Trump win, it's more of a landslide. That is much, much better compared to what maybe the more likely cases will be. And we'll get to this chart in a second. Watch the whole video.
So I think it's going to be a week where there's going to be a lot of worry. One thing I was thinking about over the weekend, though, is I think the market's fear of uncertainty will peak before, it's very likely it peaks before the election outcome's actually decided.
So understanding all that, and by the way, not all prediction markets are created equal. Poly market is a whole lot closer. The Margex market is still insanely bullish on Trump, meaning on Margex, and I'll link this down below, if you were to put $100, let's say, on a Trump victory, you would have a potential return of $40 or $140 in total. Yet, if you put $100 on Kamala, you could secure up to $310 in total. That's a potential 210% potential return, less than 24 hours left. I will link this down below. Actually, just 14 hours left. And by the way, use link down below or code Altcoin and claim up to $10,000 in bonuses. But are prediction markets like this entirely accurate? I mean, I would say the mainstream media showing you polls, they have a skew, but also the prediction markets. We have to acknowledge who's using them or not using them.
One of the things that's happened in the polls is the view that there's a lot more women going to vote than before, but that these signals, whether it be Bitcoin or whether it be DJT stock or whether it be the betting markets, may also all be off, if this is true, on the assumption that actually there is a very small percentage of the people in the betting markets who are women, for example. There's a very small percentage of people who are women who actually trade in Bitcoin, not who own Bitcoin, but who trade in Bitcoin. Very small group of women who are trading in DJT stock. What do you think of that?
I think there's some credence to that, just because we know, like, when you look at the Iowa polls, it was really the senior women voters that changed a lot. And you're right, these markets can be narrow, and they're very responsive to changes in liquidity. And it is, I think it's a very tight race. I mean, it's going to be very close. I think anyone who thinks that they know who's going to win is really playing with fate, because I think it's a very tight race.
So Tom Lee at this point isn't willing to pick a candidate. It's too close. But once we have a winner, how this will affect you as an investor.
I'm bullish only in the sense that election uncertainty has caused people to de-risk and cash to sit on the sidelines, but the fundamentals have been good. Earnings season's been very good. The Fed is dovish, and I don't think it's going to matter who ends up in the White House. Even if it's split Congress or a sweep, I think markets do pretty well either way. So it sets up for a really good rally into year end. But when it starts in November is just what we don't know.
And let me share with you my prediction. If you hold Bitcoin, my chart, depending on which candidate wins, but in the latest altcoin news, Waves founder unveils Units protocol for layer 2 interoperability.
So I am Sasha Ivanov. I launched Waves blockchain back in 2016. It's like an OG chain, very old.
Just know Waves used to be one of the top blockchains, top 10, back in 2017. Today, it's more of an old dog in the space, although the metrics, the holders, there is still a large community.
But now we are moving forward. So what we are doing now, we are turning Waves into an ecosystem of interconnected EVM chains. And Waves itself is becoming a layer 0 that connects those chains in a trustless manner.
So just to be clear, the Waves founder is launching a new protocol for layer 2 interoperability. Actually, thank you Units Network for sponsoring this segment of today's video. And in a nutshell, Units Network is a modular infrastructure with layer 0 scalability and restaking for consensus. And I know what you're thinking. Austin, don't we have interoperability chains today? Don't we have L2s today? Well, Waves founder Sasha Ivanov explains why Units protocol is actually very much needed as an L2.
So the current state of this like L2 narrative, you don't have like full decentralization there. So what you have there is usually one sequencer node on which all those like layers run, and you also don't have like trustless interaction between those chains, because you usually have just centralized bridges that connect those chains. And that's where what we're building, Units Network, comes into play.
So it's aiming to be the most decentralized, connecting the most chains, but also there will be demand pressure from the current Waves holders.
So we have like a network of validators, Waves validators, and actually they validate not only Waves, but all those chains connected to it. So what happens actually? They restake their Waves balance in those chains. Basically, their contribution is based on their Waves balance, and the consensus that is established in Waves is exported to those higher chains, making them properly decentralized. And Waves itself is becoming not even layer 1, it's becoming layer 0. And all those like connected chains, which were like layer 2s, they become layer 1s because they're properly decentralized.
So I will link this down below for you to do your own research. Be aware this is launching soon, November 5th, on multiple different exchanges, so expect volatility. Things get very, very volatile around launches, and also volatile around elections. So this is my chart. This is my prediction on what happens post-election. And let's start with Trump. Looking at a clear Trump win or a clear Kamala win, to me I put best case in the sense that it's clear. It's a landslide. It's virtually not up for debate, although we'll see what the candidates choose to contest. Time will tell. But if Trump wins, to me, that's an instant Bitcoin pump. I mean, he has ran on pro-economy. He's also ran on pro-Bitcoin. You can type in on YouTube right now every single promise Donald Trump has made to Bitcoin holders. And it's clear he is positioning himself, he has positioned himself as the Bitcoin candidate. That being said, if Kamala wins, just based on sentiment alone, I think we'll see an instant Bitcoin, and actually crypto in general, dump. This would be just on sentiment. Kamala really hasn't said that many pro-Bitcoin statements. I mean, she put out a pamphlet for black men, how she'll protect the Bitcoin rights of black men in America. She's also made statements lumping digital assets and AI and just future innovation together. So for that reason, market sentiment, I expect a dump. Looking at a Trump win in the weeks to follow, I would expect we see a new Bitcoin all-time high within weeks. I mean, this year, 2024, is it's only about 7 weeks remaining. I think Bitcoin surpasses its all-time high before 2025. Now for Kamala, even though we get a Bitcoin dump on the day, on the weeks, probably weeks that follow, this Bitcoin train is not stopping. I think we see a new Bitcoin all-time high in Q1 of 2025. I mean, there's a clear lack of supply on the market, and BlackRock and Fidelity and the US Bitcoin ETFs are currently buying up the supply every single week compared to the amount of Bitcoin that are being mined. Also, Bitcoin is already regulated, so I would expect this trend to continue. Really, I think the altcoins and the broader crypto market, that's where we're going to start to see the major differences. If Trump wins, I think the altcoin bull run starts within weeks, continues into 2025 and through 2025. If Kamala wins, I do think altcoins in the long run, I think they will dump harder than Bitcoin initially, but I do think in the long run, into 2025 and beyond, they'll do better than the last 4 years, but just okay in general. I do say better than the last 4 years because really, it's Gary Gensler, the head of the SEC, that was appointed by the Biden administration, specifically not Kamala, but through Biden's appointees. He has been a huge net negative for crypto. With either candidate, they appoint their own people. Any appointee other than Gary Gensler will be better than Gary Gensler, and there will be a new appointee no matter who wins. So much less of an altcoin bull run, in my opinion, for next year if Kamala gets in. But I do think that more regulated cryptos like an Ethereum, maybe like a Solana, I think this will be better for them. Also, a Kamala victory in general, just thinking out loud, might be better for Bitcoin. Because if altcoins are going to have all this uncertainty, maybe a lot of that crypto money will just go into Bitcoin, just go into Ethereum, because there's uncertainty in the market. Also, maybe meme coins will really pop off if Kamala wins as a big like F you to the system. Maybe we'll see a future where it's just ultra regulated and then ultra meme coin unregulated. Again, a lot of people get mad at me for saying, Austin, why don't you take a clear position on a candidate one way or the other? And to that, I say we have 1.49 million subscribers because we try to the best of our ability to give you all the information on both sides so you can make the best decision for you. And that brings us to what I think would be the more likely scenario if we go weeks and weeks and weeks and we're not sure who wins. Candidates are contesting it from both sides. I mean, the polls do suggest this is going to be ultra close, but if it looks like a Trump win in any aspect, even though it's much less, I do think we'll get a Bitcoin pump on that news, although much less. And also long term, this does not change a thing. New Bitcoin all-time highs within weeks, at least by month 1 or 2 of next year. And on the flip side, if it looks like Kamala is likely going to win, although so much more uncertainty, I think Bitcoin will dump in the uncertainty, although much less. But again, due to Bitcoin already being regulated, I do think we see new Bitcoin all-time highs, at least in Q1 of next year. And as for altcoins, whether it looks like maybe Trump will win or maybe Kamala will win, in the short term, I think that means major altcoin uncertainty. Although as the weeks continue and we do get more of a winner, then I would revert to either Trump best case or Kamala best case on where this altcoin market trends.